rings, we pound for pound. UFC thrills, stills nights get loud. Big EQP, that's how we get down.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the GRP. Back at it, second day in a row. UFC 328 happened last night. We had a great watch party podcast, solo time for me, but it was fun, man. It was fun, and the fights came through. That main card was pretty fucking cool. I thought it was a great card, man. The main card, especially, like, we got we got some finishes and stuff in the prelims, but it was a good night of fights overall. But the prelims, it didn't keep my attention so much, even though it was good. What am I saying? It was fucking good. But I am in shock by a lot of what happened in that main card. That main card has the story of all of it. Yeah, just the co-main event, the main event, man. It was like, damn. They came through. Like, that's what you want out of fights like that. Yo, what up, E? Oh, what up, E? I'm reading the fucking thing. Yo, what's up, E? I'm heading back to my... Okay, I stopped reading right in the middle. Okay, Antoine, no worries, man. Tyler Fish, what's going on? How you doing? Yeah, I missed the watch party because I was out with friends, but I had a good time. Oh, right on, man. Well, congrats. I'm glad you went out, had a good time. It's always good to, hang out with your friends, have a good time, and hopefully the fights, though, man, they were good. They were good. And my weekend has been hectic, man. Today especially. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, by the way. Happy Mother's Day to all of your guys' moms and all that good stuff. Especially to my wife, who, of course, gave me my two daughters, which I love, and it was good stuff, man. But yeah, today's just hectic because it's Mother's Day, and I went and visited my mom. So happy Mother's Day to my mom as well, and my sister. So I have three beautiful nieces as well. So I went and said happy Mother's Day to my sister, and I got to see my pops and my brother-in-law as well. So that was cool. So yeah, we had a good family day. My older daughter went with us so she could kind of, spend some time with the extended family before she leaves, which that's coming up here pretty quick. I have to go out of town for work this week. I don't know what's going to happen. I think I'm going to be home in time for the show on Thursday. If things aren't looking good, I might just do it Wednesday, but I'm pretty sure I'll be all right, and I'll just make it home on Thursday, and I'll be in here ready to do the show in here on Thursday. So it's just been hectic, man. It's just crazy. So much stuff going on. But Mother's Day, I had to go, pay some visits and spend some time with the family. And then, I was trying to get prep done this morning. I was just doing a bunch of stuff, man. I got to pack. I've been trying to pack, and everything's just been crazy today. So nothing bad. It's just, stressful and time consuming. I just feel like there's not enough hours in a day, but we keep going, man. We keep going and we do our thing. So we're here now, ready to talk about UFC 328, which again just delivered for sure. Like Tyler said, that it was good shit, man. I cannot believe just the way that the co-main event went. Joshua Van, Tatsuro Taira. Van is a fucking savage, bro. Like it didn't look good for him in the beginning. It looked like he was not going to fare well if things kept going the way they were going. And then he talk about a turnaround, but we'll definitely get into that. And then Khamzat and Sean Strickland, all that security for nothing, man. They kind of were already on decent terms before they got in that cage, apparently. And then they got in there and, they just kind of they went to work. It was all business. The crazy sideshow bullshit was all done, and they really just got in there and went to work and fought a great fight. Honestly, I couldn't be of course there was no knockouts or nothing like that, but I mean, they went at it. They went to war. It wasn't just a lay and pray shit like Khamzat and DDP, which once again, remember I told you, Sean Strickland's not going to get held down like DDP did. And that was something I would have bet money on. So I just didn't think that he would be able to pull out the win like he did. And I've seen a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people saying that maybe he didn't win that fight or whatever. I don't know. I think there's a bigger controversy with the Alexander Volkov and Waldo Cortez Acosta fight, which that busted my parlay. If they would have just called it in the way that everyone kind of thought that it went, which even Dana White said he thought Waldo won. So that was a weird one, but Volkov still fought a good fight, and yeah, there was a little bit of controversy in there, stuff like that, but Kadyrov is never letting Khamzat taste money until he gets the belt back. Shit, he might. Oh my God, Tyler. God damn.
Bruh.
Holy shit. Just coming out swinging, Tyler. I was like, why didn't that show up in the chat box on that side? I now see why, but it's on the screen. Oh, shit. Well, I definitely need to, take a quick hit of the wonderful Noctane smelling salts because, like I said, it's been a hectic, crazy day. I definitely need a good little pick-me-up, and this is going to help me out here. Keeps you awake and alert. Most potent bottle with the red cap. I talk about it all the time. Link in the description below. It's always there on every video because they are my sponsor, and, it's a good product. I use it all the time. You guys already know how it goes, and you guys already know I'm gonna cringe here in just a second with how strong this is gonna be, but that's okay because I fucking need it right now. Let's go. Here we go. Oh, oh, it stayed in my nose. It stayed in my nose. Oh, holy shit. Oh, it like lingered there, man. I felt like I had that bottle up to my face that whole time. Whew. That's what I like, though. Oh, my eyes are wide. Could you take 5 straight hits of the red cap? I probably could, but it might be rough. Yeah, that one definitely got me, man. It was weird because I thought for a second it wasn't gonna hit, and then I got a nose full, and it just lingered. I pulled the bottle away, and it was still there. That's okay though. It's what I needed. It's good, and I appreciate the sponsorship, Noctane. I love it, and I use it all the time, like I said. And it's a good product. So go check it out. You can learn more about it. You can learn more about it by going to their website, scan that QR code on the screen, or hit the link in the description below. That is that, and appreciate the sponsorship, Noctane. All right. Yeah, like I said, I have some packing to do. I started my packing, but I'm not, I got a lot more to do. So we're gonna talk just about UFC 328. There's I haven't really been able to go through social media very much today, so I don't know if there's anything else going on. If there's any big subjects happening, hit me, let me know. Yeah, no shit. But yeah, you definitely got to space them out, man. You don't want to be like fucking, back to back to back. That shit is rough. But when it comes down to it, if there's anything else going on, let me know. If you have anything you want to talk about or bring up some questions, go ahead and do that in the chat. It's always open, as you know. And I appreciate everybody that jumps in and interacts. Arman is already coping about Khamzat's loss. Yeah, Arman he's another kind of guy, dude. I don't know. It's funny because, you have him who is in Khamzat's corner and just, obviously rooting hard for him. And then you got all is good. What's going on, man? How you doing? Appreciate you for jumping in.
What's happening with you, man?
But like Armin is always with Nina Drama, and then she's all happy and excited about Sean Strickland, who's her really good friend, winning the championship. So it's kind of a weird dynamic there. But yeah, it was an interesting one, man. So let's get into it and let's talk about what happened throughout the night. Obviously, we'll go over the main card first, starting from the bottom to the top, and then we'll lead into those prelims, and then we'll check out how I did with my predictions versus the Fight Wheel predictions. I was telling you guys Strickland would win by decision, but none of you guys listen. Hey, man, if you called it, good for you. I just didn't think he'd be able to get that win. The thing I did say came true as well. I said he wouldn't get held down, and he didn't. That second round really proved something with Strickland, not allowing Khamzat to take him down, and then Khamzat just kind of falling back to his back and trying to to bait Sean in. So that was telling. That was telling. And that's kind of where the fight started to end for Khamzat. But, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy how it turned out. We're definitely going to get to it. So let's get into the rest of the card, and we'll lead our way into that main event. So, like I said, Khamzat versus Strickland, Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira are 2 title fights on the top of the card. I thought Sean was going to finish him in the second round. Yeah, I mean, he definitely landed some good shots, and he definitely did some damage. So, but, you know, that fight just kept going. All these guys are fucking savages, man. I can't believe Tatsuro Taira took the amount of damage he did and stuck in there for as long as he did. I mean, Joshua Van could not put him out cold. And Taira was pissed when they stopped the fight, but he was getting annihilated. So it's hard to kind of blame the ref for stopping the fight. Other people thought it might have gotten stopped early too, but just look at the damage on Taira's face. I understand where you'd be coming from with saying that that he, you know, deserved to be in there longer, but I think shit, he took enough of a beating, man. It was crazy. And for Van to come back like he did and put on that kind of a performance was just impressive as hell. So I liked it. It was a great one. And, you know, overall, like I said, the card was pretty good. It came through, and it was a great card. So, and we start off the main card with King Green versus Jeremy Stephens, old school vet versus vet. You know, most people were thinking that Bobby Green was gonna, or King Green, I keep saying Bobby, King Green was gonna get this win, and that's exactly what he did. Stephens missed weight though by 4 pounds, which was crazy. So it turned into a 160-pound catch weight, and of course he gives up a percentage of his purse. So yeah, it's not a good start for him. Obviously, if he missed weight by yeah, I know, Tyler, but shit, that's what his name is now. Everyone, that's how he's referred to now. So it is what it is. I was meant to ask who your favorite football team. Oh, it's the Colts.
You dumb motherfucker!
You deserve that one, Tyler. Yeah, so I mean, I guess if he missed by 4 pounds, you know, he either just gave it up and said, I'm not even gonna bother, or he just had a rough time with that weight cut. And it is what it is, you know. He missed weight, and the fight went on though. You know, Green did a good job of being patient and you know, forcing scrambles. And, you know, as soon as Stephens kind of exposed his neck, Green was able to snatch it up. And, you know, he did some good work on the feet as well before he got down to the ground. And yeah, that makes it 3 straight for King Green. And, you know, he's looking pretty damn good, considering for a little while there he wasn't looking so good, getting knocked out and stuff like that. You know, it seems like he's still evolving little by little. And yeah, Stephens is just in that spot where, you know, he hasn't won a fight in the UFC in quite a while. And like I said before, he's been in and out of regular traditional boxing and bare knuckle boxing, but this marks 1, 2, damn, going all the way back, 3, 4. This is his 5th loss in a row in the UFC, even though he's had a lot of time outside of the UFC. He fought for PFL. He fought for Gamebred boxing. He fought for MVP boxing, bare knuckle boxing. So he's fought in a lot of other shit in between there. But in total, he's 0-5 in his last 5 fights in the UFC, spanning all the way back to, oh shit, there's actually more. That's 7. There's a no contest in there. That's what made me stop. But it's actually like 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That is 7. Holy shit. Spanning all the way back from 2018. He hasn't won a fight in the UFC since 2018, February. Stephens should stick to BKFC. Yeah, he might. I do remember Junior Seau. He was a damn good player. I don't really have a favorite player either. By now, you should probably know that I don't pick favorites because I just can never make up my mind. But it is what it is. I just don't follow everything close enough, but I have favorite teams from spanning from when I was following everything. But yeah, we had King Green get that win over Jeremy Stevens, and I do think that Stevens does a little better outside of the UFC, outside of MMA, so that might be the way he needs to go and stick to doing that. Green is now on a 3-fight win streak. Lance Gibson by decision, Daniel Zellhuber by TKO, and now Jeremy Stevens by sub. So before that, he was on a 2-fight losing streak, and it wasn't looking good for him, and now he's finally bounced back and put together a nice little win streak. So we'll see what King Green gets next. He should fight McGregor in BKFC so McGregor finds out who he is. I mean, that is entertaining and and all, but Conor can't do shit until he fulfills that contract with the UFC, or until they release him. So until we see that happen, which isn't going to happen soon because he's got a fight coming up, I'm pretty sure he's going to be fighting in International Fight Week against Max Holloway. That's what seems to be the word. Everyone seems to think that's exactly what's going to happen. So obviously I don't know any better, but to me, that sounds like the most obvious, logical thing to do, You got to put Conor in there against somebody with a decent name, and Max Holloway definitely has that. So, and plus it's a rematch, he beat Max Holloway early on in their careers, and Conor hasn't fought in MMA in a minute. So going up against Max Holloway, who's been in there grinding, it's definitely one of those interesting matchups to see how it would turn out. So we'll have to wait and see. But moving on to the next fight on the main card, we had Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley. And what in the actual fuck was Joaquin Buckley thinking? Because that top picture tells the story of that fight. I don't understand what he thought he was doing, or why he thought it was okay to continuously throw knees and kicks lazily while Sean Brady was easily taking him down in the mix of him throwing these kicks and knees, just catching him. He would just catch the knees, catch the kicks, and draw, take him down. And Buckley was not stopping. He just continuously threw those knees and kicks, and just, it was a dumbass way to fight. I don't know why Buckley thought that was the smartest thing to do, but Sean Brady definitely put in the work, and he did what he knows how to do well, and that's using that wrestling, grappling, and staying heavy on top. He doesn't posture up. He keeps that position. He gets into the best position and finds the best time to posture. Until then, he's heavy on top. He's holding you down with his entire weight of his body. And yeah, he made it clear that the fight was going to take place a lot on the ground. He closed the distance quickly. He didn't let Buckley's athleticism or explosiveness take over. He had to jump on Buckley every time. He just started stacking up that control time over and over and over again every round, just continuously getting the control time and making it look easy, because Buckley wasn't really trying hard to defend. He was just doing dumb shit that was making it worse. So he was trying to explode and get back up, but every time he would create the space, Brady would just drag him right back down and put him back on the mat. So the rest of the rounds all the rounds went that way. Brady stayed composed. He didn't get reckless, and even though he didn't really chase the finish for the most part, he still put on a dominant performance. He was disciplined. He was heavy on top, like I said, and mixing in the ground and pound and the submission threats, and it just wore on Buckley. Buckley is obviously tough, and he's stuck around in there. But he was in survival mode the whole time throughout the fight, so there was nothing he could really do, and he just couldn't show any signs of getting away from all of that. So, but just how you'd expect it, Brady gets the unanimous decision win after getting a KO loss to Michael Morales, which that's a good bounce back for him. Buckley is now on a 2-fight losing streak after losing to Kamaru Usman before Sean Brady. And, Sean Brady just reminds everybody about that elite grappling in the 170 division, on top of the fact that the Michael Morales fight, he just said he wasn't up to par. He wasn't feeling good physically, mentally. He wasn't 100%, and it shows. But would he have done any better against Michael Morales? I think he would have done a little better, but I don't know that he would have been able to beat him. But if he was able to, you know, close the distance and be super dominant with the grappling, wrestling, and you know, take Morales down the way that he did Buckley, he definitely would have had a better chance of winning that fight. How many wins is Sean from a title shot now? I mean, he just got out of a loss, you know? So the 170 division is kind of stacked right now. So I think he definitely needs to win a couple more, you know, to high-level opponents. As long as Michael Morales is in the picture and not getting a title shot, he's not going to get a title shot. There's no way he's surpassing Michael Morales after losing to him the way he did. The best he'll get, I think, it will be a rematch with him. How do you feel about Weidman making the Hall of Fame? I like it, man. I think that's why I explained that on the watch party, that, you know, I didn't really like Weidman in the beginning, considering he beat, you know, the kind of trash talk and the way he carried himself when he was on his way up to the championship, and then, you know, going up against Anderson and just being a kind of a dick to Anderson about everything. But, you know, Anderson did the wrong thing. Silva just fucking played around, got knocked out, and then was not able to, you know, bounce back in a good way after all that. So, you know, it's unfortunate the second fight went the way it did, and that kind of pissed me off about Weidman too, that the way that he, you know, reacted to Anderson breaking his leg and stuff, it was kind of shitty. You know, the way that Uriah Hall reacted to Chris Weidman breaking his leg the same way is the way that people probably would have felt better about Weidman, and instead he kind of did a celebration, and, you know, which in turn, you know, I understand that he's still got to be happy for himself for getting the win, but, you know, it's a little bit like, you got to read the room a little bit. So it was a little in bad taste to kind of celebrate the way he did, but it is what it is, you know. That's in the past, and I've gotten to know him a little better, you know, through his commentary, analysis, and all, and on the podcast and stuff. So, you know, like I said on the watch party, I'm not married to all of my opinions. I'm able to be, you know, I'm able to change it up and change my mind about things if I, you know, look into it, give it a chance, and find good reason to. So for me, I think Weidman deserves it. It's well deserved for him. He was a champ, and he was a champ for a good amount of time, and he fought some great fights. So yeah, good for him on making the modern wing of the Hall of Fame for the UFC. See, my thing is Chris made it, trying to should make it too. Huh? So my I'm not sure exactly what you're saying. So we'll see if you correct something in there, because I'm not understanding that one. But yeah, anyway, good for Chris Weidman. Congrats on him for making the Hall of Fame. Oh, Tyron. Okay. Yeah, I understand. It's just, yeah, I mean, I guess I get your point there. I think the difference is that Tyron was on bad terms with the UFC a lot. So I think it's just going to take him longer to get in there. I don't think I disagree with Tyron Woodley fully disagree with Tyron Woodley being in the Hall of Fame. I just don't know that he's going to make it there too quickly if the UFC doesn't change their mind about him and how he, you know, carries himself and the way that he reacts to things with the UFC, because he just was on bad terms with them a lot. So I'm walking up these fucking stairs, my bad. Oh, it's all good. Tyron used to work the desk. Yeah, no, I know that. It's just, you know, I don't think that justifies them giving him the Hall of Fame. Listen, I don't have a problem with Tyron Woodley. I can't change the fact that Tyron's not in the Hall of Fame yet, and I can't tell them to do it either. So there's not much more I can say except for, yeah, I wouldn't be mad if Tyron Woodley made it to the Hall of Fame. So, you know, it's really all I have to say about that. There's not much more. I can't do anything about it, and I don't really have too many complaints about it if he does make it. So hopefully he does, for his sake. He was a champion. He, you know, he fought some great fights too, and yeah, that's really all there is to that one. But moving on, the controversial heavyweight fight, we had Alexander Volkov versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. And man, this is where my parlay went down, because I went for Acosta. I know that a lot of people were saying that Volkov was probably going to win this fight. I think he was the favorite as well. But the thing for me was, Waldo was on a 3-fight win streak, and the way that he was winning, it made sense. And I feel like I've seen Volkov lose to opponents that, you know, that don't do the things that Acosta does. He's got heavy hands, you know, he throws big shots. He's, you know, decently athletic, and you know, he hangs in there and brings the fight to people. So I thought for sure he was gonna have a better chance at you know, getting a win here over Volkov. But Volkov came in from the jump, you know, with keeping the distance, using his reach advantage. He just kind of did what he does, and that's just stayed long and pumped that jab out there enough to land and do some damage. And then, you know, he mixed in those kicks, body and leg kicks pretty well too. Volkov with those long legs, you know, it seemed like the kicks weren't doing a whole lot, and Waldo wasn't reacting to them much, but they were definitely affecting him, whether he showed it or not. He kept a good poker face, as you can see in those couple pictures there, especially that top one. He landed some great shots on Waldo Cortez Acosta, but Acosta did some damage too. He bloodied up Volkov a couple times in the face. I think once on the eye or the cheek, and then bloodied up his nose too. So it was definitely a good, you know, it was a decent fight. It's just every time Acosta tried to close the distance and land something, Volkov just reset and made him start over, you know, and just wouldn't allow him to do that. There were moments where Acosta, you know, landed some great shots, like I said, did a little bit of damage, but it just couldn't sustain it, couldn't put together big combinations, couldn't put together a good streak of landing shots, and Volkov was constantly interrupting with big shots of his own, stopping things and slowing things down with those leg kicks and those body kicks, and it just all wore on Waldo Cortez Acosta. In round 2, he even came close to he even came close to dropping him with a clean left, and it was just one of those different types of fights. Khamzat shouldn't move up to 205. Ankalaev and Olberg would do nasty things to him. Damn, Nico. What's going on? Welcome in. Appreciate you for throwing your input in there. I mean, I understand what you're saying, especially with the way that Sean handled him. But, you know, sometimes these guys get a resurgence. We obviously know that Khamzat had trouble with the weight, you know, making weight. A lot of people think he didn't actually make the weight. A lot of people think that they let him slide. Dana White had something to say about that, and said that basically, like, New Jersey's pretty strict, and yeah, they I don't know, but, you know, Dana's gonna say what he's gonna say, because he's definitely not gonna cop to, you know, saying that they let him get away with it. But if you look, you know, looking at the replay, it's all on tape, you know, it's all on video. When it comes down to it, okay, Infinity, no problem. When it all comes down to it, like, the video shows how quickly they allowed him to get off the scale, and then didn't even have him come back. They had him come back on the scale, but didn't, you know, try to settle that scale or anything like that. It was just still kind of moving. So I don't know, it's a weird thing, but, you know, a lot of people were saying Khamzat was going to move up to 205 regardless of whether he won or lost anyway. So that's his choice, man. If it doesn't work out for him in there, he's got to learn how to cut weight a little better. Otherwise, it's just going to be bad news for him. So, but yeah, Volkov upped the volume and control, and kept his composure by the 3rd round. Didn't take any big wild risks, just stayed disciplined, you know, and just put on a veteran performance all the way through, and took out Waldo Cortez Acosta by decision. You know, and a lot of people, like I said, thought that maybe Waldo ran away with it a bit. I think the first round was a little bit hard to score. I know after the first round, I was like, I don't really know, like, there wasn't anything crazy happening in the first round, but there were some good exchanges from both of them, and I felt like it could have gone either way. The second round was clear for Volkov, and then the 3rd round, I think Volkov definitely edged him out at the end. No, I get it, man. I understand what you're saying about Khamzat, but and you know, weight cutting not being an excuse it is what it is, man. It's up to him. I don't have any problems with it. If he's gonna take the chance to move up and weight and get dominated by guys that are bigger than him, that's on him. And you know, you got to be more disciplined and you know, or just concede to the fact that you can't make it down to that weight. So it's a bad weight cut regardless, and other people that we know and love have used that excuse before too. It's just what happens in the fight game. Bad weight cuts are a thing. So I mean, I don't think anybody's perfect, man. People make mistakes, but it just, you know, we've seen Khamzat have problems with weight cutting before, so I'm not surprised by the move up. And I mean, I don't have any problems with it one way or the other. It is what it is for me with him. It's not like I'm a huge fan of his, and you know, I'm not saying that I feel like he shouldn't move up, because I feel like if that's what he wants to do, then go for it. We'll see what he can do up there. Maybe it'll be better for him not to be cutting that weight. It's gonna weigh on you cutting that weight regardless. Cutting weight is not normal, and it's not natural. So for him to go up to a heavier weight that, you know, he doesn't have to cut so much weight for, then you know, that's up to him. And it's not a bad call if he's having trouble with the weight. So we'll just see, can he hang with those bigger guys who actually cut down to 205 instead of being more around there. So I don't know if Alexander deserves a title shot, but the heavyweight division right now is not very good. So I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a title shot off of this win. Whether he deserves it or not, well, he put on a decent showing in this fight, and whether you think he won or lost, the end result was he won. I'm not happy about it either. It fucked up my parlay, but it is what it is. The judges called it that way. You know, he used his reach, he used his striking IQ, and you know, he wasn't allowing Waldo to get inside on him. So he did what he had to do. I wouldn't say he was super dominant, but I would definitely say, you know, I can understand him getting the win. But I also understand where people think that it was a little closer than that, and maybe they thought it went the other way because of the fact that that first round was so questionable. I feel like Volkov, you know, definitely, you know, I don't know. I don't know that he definitely went. The first and third rounds were really questionable. I think that's the thing. So, am I thinking? I'm trying to remember specifically. I'm thinking maybe I thought that Waldo won that third round. So maybe that's what it is. Is the first round was questionable. I felt like they split the next two. Shit, I'm trying to remember now. Anyway, I know it was close. So I understand people thinking that it was, you know, the wrong decision there. But either way, Volkov gets the win, and it is what it is. If Josh defeats Derek, Alexander will face him in a title eliminator. Probably, because yeah, they're definitely pushing Josh Hokett, that's for sure. And he has potential to beat Derek Lewis, because we've seen Derek Lewis get beat by people quickly in the same fashion that Josh Hokett's beating people. So I am not rooting for Hokett whatsoever, but I definitely think he has an opportunity. What's up, Christian? How you doing? What's up with the champ? Joshua hit like the van. He's a natural fighter. He was able to find all the weakness and apply right away in the fight. Thought Tyra gonna able to burn his stamina, but he didn't. Yeah, man, it wasn't looking good for Van in the beginning, that's for sure. But yeah, he put it together, and he's a dog in there, man. He didn't give up, and he was able to take the fight to Tyra, and Tyra, you know, Tyra hung in there, but yeah, it just became overwhelming. So yeah, Joshua Van, he's got those hands. I said it in the, you know, in the show last week that he's got that crisp and clean boxing. And if he can get that going, he applies damage. That's for sure. You could see the damage on Tatsuro Taira's face. So yeah, it was a good showing for him. Taira didn't move his head at all. No. And against a guy who can box like Joshua Van, that's bad news, man. We'll get a little more in depth on that here right now. Actually, what am I talking about? That's the next fight. So good time to bring that up, and good time to start talking about it. Joshua Van versus Tatsuro Taira. We can see here some of the a punch landing clean on the nose, and then you can see some of the damage in that lower picture. Like Johnny said, Tyra didn't move his head much, but you know, he was working his grappling and wrestling in there in the beginning. Joshua Van had a little bit of trouble, you know, in the beginning of that fight, but you know, this was an impressive fight. It was the fight of the night. The way Tyro was cooking Van on the ground, I don't know, man. Pantoja's gonna cook Van, maybe, but you know, Van found a way to get out of it, and Van found a way to find some openings and stay on the feet and pick Tyra apart. So I understand where you're coming from with that, but I also think that, you know, sometimes when things happen, like a freak accident where there's an injury, you know, it happened with who am I thinking of? Heavyweight. God damn it, the champ right now. Why did I forget his name? Oh my God. I have too much in my head, man. You guys know what I'm talking about. Tom Aspinall. Damn it. Why I couldn't think of it. So Tom, hey, what's up, David Fernandez? Yeah, Strickland, man. Shit was crazy. We'll get to that here in just a minute. But yeah, you know, it happened with Tom Aspinall. He busted up his knee. Yeah, Christian, exactly. I couldn't think of it, man. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, Tom Aspinall messed up his knee against Curtis Blades, and then he comes back and smokes him, you know? So stuff like that happens, and you know, Tom Aspinall didn't let it get to him. He came back and became champ. But Pantoja, sometimes the opposite happens, and just because you had a somewhat of a freak accident happen, you know, you get that like kind of PTSD stuff in your head, and sometimes it gets in your head and it makes you think about it. So, you know, if he throws it, is he gonna throw a kick? And if Van catches it and throws him back like he did, Pantoja might, you know, that might mess with his head a little bit. So you never know. But Van is obvious, like, yeah, I agree, David. He's, you know, he is that dude, man. He came out, and when he was able to stay on the feet, everything flipped, man. Everything flipped. His striking took over. He just started picking Tyro apart, man. And the way he dropped him late in the second round, you know, he's just landing those clean shots. That boxing was just phenomenal, and you could definitely see the momentum shifting in that second round. And you know, that first round just seemed like nothing in comparison, because you started seeing all the damage on Tyra's face, and you know, Van just started kind of throwing combinations, landing them, you know, to the body, going back upstairs and hitting the head, and he just overwhelming Tyra with unanswered shots. And then the ref stepped in for the TKO. And like I said earlier, Tyra was not happy. He was not happy at all with the finish or with the stoppage, but it is what it is, man. There's so many unanswered shots that, you know, the ref can only give you so much. I think they have Van versus Pantoja 2 in December. I don't know if Pantoja's gonna want to wait that long, and I don't know that Van's gonna want to wait that long either. I thought it was 2-2 going into the fifth. Tatsuro showed heart with the wrestling. Yeah, but Van, I mean, if you really just look at it, man, Van was just picking him apart. Whether, I mean, when it came down to it, Van just looked so damn good with that boxing, and the amount of damage he was putting on Tyra, like, it's tough to say. Yeah, it's just tough to know that, to think that he was gonna get the win in the end, with just the way that Van started turning things up. So, you know, he bounces back and he kind of does what Aljamain Sterling did. You know, everybody criticized him for the way that he won the belt, but he's able to bounce back with a different opponent, even a really tough opponent too. It's not like he got a super easier performance or opponent, but he definitely put on a big performance. He showed and proved that he can fight through that adversity, and you know, proved that he was a champ. So he legitimized his belt with his first title defense against a really good opponent in Tatsuro Taira, who, you know, came out looking really good against him in that first round. So, you know, the durability and the pressure that he was under, and then to turn it around and, you know, really make it into his fight. But, you know, there's not much else you can say except for Van just showed and proved that he deserves to be a champ. You know, if it's easy, people talk shit. If it looks like he has trouble, people talk shit. No one's ever really happy, especially when you win the belt in a way like he did. You know, sure, it wasn't a Oscar performance like everyone talked about with Aljamain, but people still want to call fluke and shit like that, and because he only had 26 seconds in there with Pantoja. So either way, it's a loss, and that's the way injuries like that go. You know, Tom Aspinall had that happen to him too, but then he became champ. So that's just how it goes. I just thought it was interesting how during the build-up they didn't show any film on how he won the belt. Well, there's not much to show. It's 26 seconds, man. I don't know. People make such a big deal about it. It's just like, it's the fucking rule. It's a TKO if you get injured. There's nothing else about it. It's just the same thing with this. Is the same argument I made with Aljamain Sterling. Petr Yan threw an illegal kick. Whether or not you want to talk about, or an illegal knee, whether or not you talk about, you know, Aljamain Sterling playing it up or not, he still got kneed in the fucking head. He got his bell rung. Plain and simple. He wasn't happy with winning the belt that way either, but just because he shows a little bit of happiness towards being the new champ, people want to talk shit. It's just like, there's not a lot to go off of with Pantoja and Van. There's not. It was 26 seconds. I mean, you can't, unless it's a quick knockout, then people still say there's not a lot to go off of. If somebody wins a belt in 26 seconds and you haven't seen a whole lot more out of the first round from a guy, they're still going to say, oh, we need to see him get tested. We need to see him get, you know, pulled into deeper waters. There's always an argument for it. And, you know, it is what it is. It's just, I just thought one was foul with Petr compared to an inch. But, okay, I just don't understand the argument here, Antoine. I'm just trying to understand it. Like, I don't know what the problem is. I really don't. Because, yeah, they're two separate things, but it's like, what would you like to see? What would you like to see? Joshua, regardless of any of it, Joshua Van showed and proved in this fight that he deserves to be a champion. He fought a really tough opponent in Tyra, and I think that he legitimized that belt. And I mean, what they're gonna show, they can show 26 seconds of footage 17 times and it's not gonna change. It's the same thing. He caught a kick, he threw Pantoja to the ground, Pantoja based out the wrong way, and the injury happened. I just don't know what else there is to it. What is there to criticize except for that's not the way you want to win the belt? But guess what? He won the belt. That could have been a no, but that's not how it goes, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, then you have to go back and call all of the fight. Oh, Jesus. Holy shit. You have to go back and call every single fight that ever ended in an injury because, you know, it's like, I just don't know, man. I just don't know. No one's ever happy. That's the thing. It is what it is. I understand. I argue for things sometimes too, but, you know, and I wouldn't be happy if a favorite fighter of mine lost that way. But that's just, those are the rules. I mean, that's that. I mean, if you poke somebody in the eye, you know, I think that should be not a no contest. I think that should be a disqualification and a loss on your record. So, but sometimes we get no contest from that because they say it was accidental and the fighter can't continue. Well, regardless of accidental or not, you poke the motherfucker in the eye, you shouldn't have your fingers out like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially when it's egregious and you see somebody put their fingers out like this and poke somebody in the eye. You know, kicking, you know, the low kicks, I can understand, you know, being more of a accident because you're throwing inside leg kicks and shit. And sometimes the guy moves a certain way and you kick him in the nuts. But when you're throwing something at someone's face, your hand it's supposed to be a fist, not a hand, unless you're, you know, Nate Diaz throwing a Stockton slap. And then you know, he's not going to poke anybody because he's not moving this way with it. So I don't know, man. It frustrates me because I'm just like, I don't know what else anybody wants from it. I criticize Van for not stopping Pantoja from falling on his arm. Yeah, I mean, it's true though, Antoine. Either way, they're gonna fight, so we'll have to see. You know, was it a fluke when he fights Pantoja? We'll find out because, you know, but everyone's gonna say the same shit I was talking about earlier. If Pantoja loses, they're gonna say, oh, he just, you know, this, that, or the other thing because Van, you know, he got injured and he was out for so long and he was rusty and ring rust and blah blah blah. And I have nothing against Pantoja. I just think that Joshua Van should get the kudos for getting this win after coming back. Pantoja wasn't ready. It sounds like Pantoja is going to be ready soon. So I don't know why they couldn't wait, but regardless, he got a tough fight. I mean, he came out and lost that first round, and it could have been a bad night for him. And then he would have really had to deal with some backlash from he really would have had to deal with some backlash from the fan base if he would have lost to Tyra right away and never having defended that belt, winning it the way that he did. So he had a lot of pressure and a lot of adversity to fight against in this fight, not only in the fight alone, but just from the fans and everybody doubting him. So, you know, I give him props, man. I think he's a great fighter, and I do think he has some weaknesses in there, but who doesn't? Not everybody can look. I mean, look at Khamzat. He looked like he was undeniably gonna be undefeated for his entire career, and he just got defeated. I also think Van versus Tyra, I mean, that would be, it's justifiable to make that fight again too. So I could see him coming back, beating Pantoja, let Tyra go out there and put on a great performance against somebody, and then you know, revenge Tyra. I mean revenge rematch Van, or have Van rematch Tyra again. So yeah, I could see that happening as well, Antoine. Especially with the way that fight played out. I think Van really took over after a bit, but the way that Tyra started, you know, it could have been a whole different story. Van versus Manel. Yeah, I could see that being an exciting matchup. I just think Manel Kape has shown some really good things as of late. So yeah, I think that would be an interesting fight for sure. There's a lot of good fights in that weight class, and that's why, you know, we definitely have to see Van versus Pantoja again, obviously, because when Pantoja comes back, he deserves to get that title shot, because it was an accident, it was an injury, and you know, it was 26 seconds. It's not like the injury happened after him getting dominated for, you know, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, and then he got an injury and he probably would have lost anyway. But, you know, no, it was none of that. There was nothing really established in that fight, and then the injury happened. So Pantoja deserves to get that title shot as soon as he gets back and is 100%. So we're definitely going to see that fight between him and Van. It almost wouldn't have happened if Van would have lost this fight. So that would have been unfortunate, because then we would have just always been like, what would have happened? Unless, you know, Van gets his way back to that title shot quickly. So great performance by Joshua Van. And a great night for Joshua Van and Tatsuro Taira in the cage. I believe they got the fight of the night bonus. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. So 100K for both of them. How do you feel about the landscape of MMA as we approach the 330s? It's back and forth, man. It's touch and go. Like we get some shitty cards. We get some stuff that makes us kind of feel a little down, and then it turn it around with some great performances like we did in this fight. So I think it's looking good right now, especially with what we have coming up. You know, we got the White House card coming, International Fight Week, which apparently, you know, Connor's coming back, so we'll see what happens there. So yeah, I think we have some promise going into the 330s for sure. I didn't expect Tyra to get this size of part. He would rather choose to go to sleep. Is that what you're saying? Well, yeah, I mean, Tyra definitely showed heart. That's for sure. Even came back at 4th round. Yeah, man. You know, it was a tough fight for Van still, even though I feel like his striking just looked so good. And even through anything else that Tyra was doing, Van was still connecting with those shots, and the damage on Tyra's face showed it all. You know, it started just getting red with the early shots, and then he busted him open, and you know, the blood started flowing, and Tyra's face was just getting brutalized. So Van, I mean, like I said, he's got holes in his game. You can see them. You can see where he's, you know, has possibilities to you know, to not be able to keep a dominant performance throughout the entire fight, but he fights through that adversity and he comes back. So I got to give Joshua Van his props for that. And I mean, I can understand some of the criticism, but I just feel like harping on the injury thing over and over and over again, because I've heard it all over the place too, and that's the only reason why I have such a reaction, because it's just like people just can't give it up. It's not like Joshua Van's a really annoying, like, stupid person like Josh Hoke, you know what I'm saying? It's not like he's that guy. You know, and it was kind of annoying when Chael Sonnen did it back in the day, where he would claim to be undefeated and he was the best ever at everything, but yet he was losing constantly. So, you know, I think Joshua Van's kind of a wholesome type dude. You know, he's not great on the mic, but, you know, it is what it is. He does the talking in the cage, and that striking and boxing he has is just very nice and very impressive. So I think he's gonna put on some really good fights in the future, and I hope that the Pantoja fight's a good one. And I see it having the possibility of being really, really good, especially because Van's gonna want to show and prove that he can beat the champ. It'll legitimize that belt even more, because while people say, oh, he didn't truly win that belt, well, if he beats Pantoja, then he can say, I truly beat the champ. I hear Josh going to fight Ilya in a catchweight fight. Dude, Josh Hokett was, I was about to say Joshua Van. Hokett was out there fucking, oh, you're talking about Joshua Van or fucking A? It is Josh Hokett, right? Why am I just doubting myself? Yeah, it is Josh Hokett. So you're talking about Josh Hokett or Joshua Van? But I assumed Hokett right away because of the press conference. But what's funny is, Hokett was just getting into it with everybody. He did get into it. I think 78 Northwest. Yeah, 78 Northwest was talking about it in the watch party last night, about the fact that he heard something about Hokett getting into it in the crowd with Paulo Costa. Oh, there you go, Antoine. Yep, just brought it up. Yeah, and he asked me if I knew anything about it. I'm like, no, I hadn't heard anything, but I was on the watch party. I wasn't like scrolling through social media, but I saw it this morning, so I was like, yeah, that was legit. They did kind of get into it in the crowd, so that was pretty interesting. I mean, Costa looked pretty pissed off too, and Josh Hokett just acting a fool like always. You think Hokett will be a star? He's only 28 at heavyweight. He has potential. I mean, a star, I don't know, because he fights so chaotic and so carelessly that, he's just, I don't know how much of that damage he can continuously take, like he did in that fight against Blades. And Blades being more of like a wrestler grappler type, if he comes up against somebody with some real power in the hands that he's not able to get away from, it's going to be big damage coming from him. But he showed how durable he is too, so I mean, who knows? Being durable is not the greatest thing in the world, but he's got potential for sure. And unfortunately, some people like the stupid bullshit talk that he puts out there. I think his antics are a little overboard. You can cause ruckus and shit, but when it's like nonstop, every fucking which way to go, yeah, that's what I think is Johnny, you're right about that, man. He's probably gonna wrestle Derek Lewis, because if he's smart, he'll have seen, footage on Derek, and Derek Lewis isn't much of a wrestler. So if he's smart, he'll go with that game plan and wear out Derek, and then maybe he could take him out from there. But yeah, so that's why I'm not saying, oh, when he fights Derek Lewis, it's gonna be a whole different story, because it could be, because Derek Lewis definitely has that one punch KO power. But if you get a hold of Derek Lewis first and frustrate him, it's over. It always is. He came back against against Volkov, and he came back and got a knockout out of nowhere, but that doesn't happen a lot for him. Usually when he's being overwhelmed and frustrated, it's game over for him. So it's going to be an interesting one at the White House, that's for sure. And that brings us to the main event. Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland. Yet another fucking fantastic fight. It was looking, that first round was not looking good for Sean. It looked like Khamzat was going to do a lot of the same that he was doing to DDP. Maybe not as dominant, because obviously Sean Strickland is able to get up from being taken down. He doesn't get held down there very often. So, with all the bad blood and everything, and all the security in the cage, nothing happened. They touched gloves before they were even told to. I think Khamzat defeated himself with his cardio. 100% the cardio was a problem. Also, the weight cut was an issue. We know he was the last one to weigh in. He did that quick little, check in for weight, and but he came in doing exactly what everyone thought he was gonna do. And the thing is, he was able to sustain that kind of a game plan against DDP, because DDP didn't put up much of a fight. But he came in there with Strickland, who wasn't going to get held down, who was going to bring the fight to him on the feet, and was gonna put up some good defense that would allow Khamzat to get tired, and that's what happened. We saw in the second round that Khamzat winds up falling to his back after a failed takedown attempt, and it just seemed like frustration on his part that he just couldn't, he couldn't do anything about it. And when you fall to your back like that and want somebody to jump in your guard, you just know that that's where you want the fight, and you know that he's not having a good time on the feet and he's not getting what he wants out of the exchanges. So he wants to take it somewhere where he's dominant at, and so he was trying to bait Strickland in, and Strickland wasn't taking the bait. So yeah, he started off fast, immediate pressure, got the takedown, controlled positions in the first round, and it started to look again like that DDP fight. But as soon as Strickland got a hold of himself and kept his composure, and every time he got back to his feet, he just made it harder for Chimaev. He started doing that annoying shit that he does with the jab, and he didn't do a lot of teep kicks. I think it was smart on his part for that one, because that might have made it a bit easier for Chimaev to get him down. And he didn't play Joaquin Buckley's John Buckley would be a fucking weird name, but he did not do what Joaquin Buckley did and keep kicking and kneeing with the threat of a takedown. And so he knew better than that. So the teep kicks were at a minimum, but he did throw them out there here and there. But those jabs were effective, man. He was getting the jabs in there, and he was playing some good defense too. What's your advice to help with a runny nose? I have no idea, man. My daughter's been having a lot of issues with my younger daughter's been having a lot of issues with allergies and shit, and yeah, she's tried all kinds of stuff and nothing's really worked. So fuck, I don't know, unfortunately. He probably saw the Buckley fight. Yeah. But yeah, man, the cardio was definitely an issue with Chimaev, and he slowed down, and by the second round was already feeling it, and Strickland just dragged him into those deep waters. By round 4 and 5, Strickland was dictating the pace, landing the cleaner shots, and winning the rounds. So like my shit is so fucking stuffed right now. Only the shower has been. Oh well, I mean, with the stuffy nose, I would say there's some things. It's a tablet that you throw in your shower, and it evaporates, and it's Vicks, so it like really gets in there. It's almost like hitting these smelling salts, man, except it's more medicinal and effective. There's also those little Vicks sticks that you put in your nose and you take a sniff of it. That'll help with that stuffy nose, I promise you that. If you got a lot of mucus and shit, the like extra strength like Mucinex and stuff seem to work for me in the past. So that would be my advice, I guess, especially if you're having issues with the stuffy nose too. But the runny nose thing, that one's weird because it's just, I don't know, runny nose is a runny nose. That shit kills me. Shower vapor tab, exactly. That's it, Infinity. Those things work wonders, man. Last time I was really sick, I used those a lot, and they did some good work for me. So with a nice hot shower, steam it out, and let those vapor tabs dissolve in there, and man, you'll feel it, I promise you that. So scorecards: 48-47, 47-48, and 48-47 for Sean Strickland. CVS makes it generic as well. Oh, okay, right on. Yeah, so I mean, it was a close fight. It was a split decision, but when it comes down to it, Strickland really, you could see the pressure and stuff that he was putting on Chimaev, and the fact that Chimaev couldn't breathe through my nose and mouth. Yeah, that's tough, man. You got to clear those airways out, man. So definitely give that a shot, if nothing else. And if that doesn't work, then who knows? You might need some, like I said, Mucinex, Sudafed, the extra strength shit all works pretty well. Otherwise, you might need something a little stronger, and that would have to be a urgent care visit or your doctor or some shit. But yeah, that's tough, man. I hope you feel better soon, because that shit sucks. I know how that goes. And it's tough being here talking when my nose is runny or stuffy, sounding all nasally or sniffling every single second. That shit sucks. So hopefully, yeah. Or you could just buy yourself some smelling salts and see if that shit helps, and then it'll help you. It'll work with other shit too. I told my daughter the other day, go hit up those smelling salts, man. That shit might help you. But yeah, I guess Strickland was dealing with a little bit of a shoulder, you know, some issues with his shoulder that he picked up during fight week, but you know, nothing that really mattered. And also he kind of said that him and Khamzat buried the hatchet. We saw that at the end of the fight. You know, they dapped each other up. They congratulated each other. Strickland apologized to him before they even announced who the winner was. He said he was sorry and, you know, for all the shit or whatever. But you know, he gets the win in the end and becomes the new and once again middleweight champion. And this was what he had to say. When you go and fight another man, your soul is exposed. You're fucking bleeding and he's bleeding. I want to quit. He wants to quit. We don't want to be there. You just have this level of respect for one another. It transcends race, religion, nationality. You kind of become someone's brother after you and him try to die. So yeah, you know, I guess he found some respect for Khamzat because of going to war with him in there. And that is what it was. It was a war, man. Split decision win. It wasn't easy. And, you know, he just got the better of him and, you know, was able to come out with a win over another big opponent like he did against Izzy, like he's done in the past against other fighters. And when it comes down to it, you know, Chimaev just needs to see slow motion beating. Yeah, kind of. So, yeah, that's kind of what it was. I mean, a lot of damage to Khamzat's face, man, but Strickland's face did not look clean after the fight at all. It looked like he was some goth guy with some black lipstick. His lips were all purple and he had a black eye. His nose was fucked up. So, you know, that's what made this fight, you know, entertaining for sure, because of the fact that they both came out with a lot of damage and they both definitely, you know, put on a war out there. And while Chimaev was, you know, pretty worn out by the second round, he still hung in there. He stayed durable, and even though he lost, you know, it wasn't a complete dominating win for Sean Strickland. It's just Sean Strickland came out the better man. So, and you know, this is the side of Sean Strickland I like seeing. You know, he talked about it in the post-fight interview in the cage where he said, you know, he said stuff about, you know, everything he was talking about, all the things that he was saying. And, you know, he just kind of shows a more human type of guy. There was a clip I saw from him in the back with Hunter Campbell, and Hunter Campbell's like, "Oh man, you're not a bad guy." He's like, "You're not a bad guy. You just like to play a bad guy." And Strickland goes, "Well, everyone thinks I'm a bad guy, and sometimes when you catch that much shit about being such a bad person and a piece of shit, sometimes you just got to be that person and be a piece of shit." And which I understand. I know where he's coming from with that, you know. Like I said, my temper's gotten the best of me in the past, and sometimes, you know, when people just all want to talk shit about how you're just this and that or the other thing, sometimes you just want to play into it and feed into it. I don't know. I think Strickland has a lot of work to do. We've seen this from him in the past where he's you know, shown a more human side of him, less of a disgusting person, and then he just jumps right back to it. It's like his home base is to go back to all that nasty rhetoric and bullshit talk that he spews. So we'll see. I mean, did it really change him, or is this momentary, you know, recency stuff that because of the war he was in, it was just he got over emotional and that's why he said the things he said? Because I wouldn't doubt that the next fight he has, he'll find something to harp on with somebody and he'll call them all kinds of names and say all kinds of shit. So I don't put too much into Sean sounding like a decent human being, but I love to see it. So I think Imavov defeats him in the rematch. That's a good possibility. We saw what Imavov did to Adesanya, but you know, Adesanya's kind of on the tail end of his career, and we saw Sean pick apart Adesanya as well. Now he's really like that because he apologized to Israel. I don't know, man. I hate to keep disagreeing with you, Antoine, but I don't have a lot of faith in that kind of shit. When sometimes you see a person's true colors, and because they have a moment of realness with somebody doesn't mean it's gonna change them. So I'll wait and see if he proves it. But hey, I give you props for being you know, positive about it, and you know, and taking or giving him the benefit of the doubt. So I just I've been burned too many times by Strickland. Every time I think I want to give up the hate watching of him, he feeds into it more and it just makes it worse. So, but you know, that's just kind of what they do to sell the fights. So they say. A lot of times I think it's what they truly feel and stuff like that. But at the same time, after finishing Anthony Hernandez, he said he's a better man than I could ever be. He's a father. No, I know. He says shit like that all the time after a fight, but then he comes out and spews all this nasty bullshit about Khamzat, his race, his religion, his family, his friends. So, you know, it's just, he has a moment after he wins a fight or gets in a fight. Why is my dog barking like crazy? Jesus. Okay. But yeah, and then he turns around and just goes right back to the same old shit. So that's why I say, you know, he could really be that way sometimes. But oh, you heard the dogs that time? Yeah, he's going nuts. What the hell's going on? I always worry about this. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I know why. We're getting a delivery. Okay. I just had to make sure because, you know, sometimes I get worried. Sometimes I get worried because, you know, if the dogs are barking like crazy and I don't hear anything, them stopping quickly. Yeah. I heard that. Okay, cool. I'm glad, Antoine. I know, like I said, I know I'm like not agreeing with a lot of the stuff you're saying today, and I'm not trying to just go against you. It's just, you know, I gotta speak my mind on some of it, and you know, you just seem like a positive dude, and I respect the hell out of that because I find it hard to be positive a lot of times. So, you know, behind every evil man is an obedient woman. What the fuck, Johnny? Smoking and watch the Zuffa main event. Smooth night. Hell yeah. But yeah, that's just yeah, I'm skeptical about Sean, and I'm not gonna give it up until he shows and proves that he does that more than just after a hard fight. You know what I mean? So let's move into these prelims. That about does it for the main event. Sean's wife deals with him because he's got money. Maybe so. Maybe she just knows a different part of him. I don't know. I don't know. I feel bad for her though if she has to deal with any of the shit that he puts out there in the public. But sometimes your loved ones see you in a different light, and I understand that part too. So yeah, it's crazy. Okay, let's get into these prelims, and then we'll check out the fight picks and we'll wrap it up. So thanks for keeping it going again. I appreciate you guys. If you're here, please make sure you drop a like down there for me, and if you're not subscribed and you like what you see, you know, hit that subscribe button as well. I'd appreciate it. Thank you, 78 Northwest. I appreciate it. On the road this evening, driving and listening. Shout out to the fun fight card watch party last night. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, 78 Northwest. I don't know if you heard earlier that you were right about Hokit and Costa getting into it in the crowd. That was legit. I know you were wondering. So yeah, like down there. What? Johnny. But yeah, the watch party was fun last night, man. I got a lot of views on that thing. Like, a lot of people were jumping in. I got a bunch of new subscribers, so I appreciate everybody's support on that. And thank you guys for always being there for the regular shows as well. So yeah, I just want to show my gratitude and appreciation for all that, because yeah, it's fun to see, you know, your hard work get you know, your hard work comes through sometimes, and you know, me just being there by myself doing the watch party when usually I have other guys in here. You're about to pee yourself, but it was worth it for sure. And yeah, for me, you know, just being in here by myself and trying to entertain for the whole time and keep it going and not too much dead air, and just trying to stay involved and into it. And it felt good to know that even by myself, you know, people were tuning in and enjoying stuff. So thanks for all of that. If anybody else in here is a new subscriber and stuff, I appreciate you. Thursdays and Sundays, you get previews on Thursdays, recaps on Sundays. Make sure you hit the like on the video every time you're in here, if you don't mind. That helps the channel too. So yeah, I appreciate all you guys. But thanks, Infinity. Shane Mosley Jr. about to fight. Oh, right on. Yeah, I forgot that was on tonight. Shit. Anyway, let's hit up these prelims real quick before we get through the rest of this and finish up, because I definitely need to go soon and get my packing going. So we'll start with Clayton Carpenter versus Jose Ochoa. Will you be watching the angry one, Ronda versus? I will. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to do a watch party yet. I will preview the MVP card for sure, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna do a watch party yet, because I have some things going on. That's the last weekend with my daughter. before we take her across the country. So I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do, but hopefully by Thursday I'll have a for sure answer. So Jose Ochoa versus Clayton Carpenter. You know, Clayton Carpenter coming in undefeated. And Jose Ochoa, you know, he spoiled that fun for him. Gave him his first loss in a unanimous decision win. Undefeated in, wait, hold on. The fuck am I talking about? Oh, I got that mixed up. My bad. Oops. Yeah, I was reading the wrong thing. Shoot, my bad. Anyway, yeah, but I mean, regardless, in the end, you know, Clayton Carpenter versus Jose Ochoa. Ochoa, you know, came in and just kind of shut down the hype around Carpenter a little bit. You know, clean striking, he controlled the pace and got a dominant unanimous decision win over Carpenter. Carpenter just really couldn't find a rhythm, and yeah, Ochoa just came out on top. So that was your first fight of the night with a decision. As you can see, landed some damage on Carpenter there and had him busted open. And that was your first prelim fight in the, what the hell? Whoops. What is going on? My Tapology sometimes, man, this webpage just goes crazy. If you're doing anything this coming Saturday with Ronda Debooty, I'm off. Okay, yeah, sounds good, man. I'll let you know. I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna work things or what. It might come to a last minute decision, so I'll let you know if I'm doing anything or if it'll work out. But yeah, god damn it, what's going on with this page? Okay, back to it. So next up we had Baisinger Susukairev versus DeJordan Santos. And yeah, Susukairev, that's who was undefeated coming in, and he keeps that undefeated record with a submission in the submission in the third round. He had a little bit of trouble. He had a little bit of trouble in the beginning, and you know, trying to get a good rhythm and find what his strengths are. Santos had, you know, some success early and you know, put the pressure on him, you know, used his physicality against him, but Susukairev stayed patient and kept forcing the grappling exchanges, you know, until he found some openings, and then he started getting some dominant positions in on DeJordan Santos, and over time, you know, by the time the third round hit, Santos just looking gassed, and eventually, you know, Susukairev finds a submission, and you know, he chained together some good takedown attempts and stuff like that, pressed him up against the cage, and it was it was just a good performance at the end there, where he winds up locking in that choke and getting the win. So Baisinger Susukairev continues to be undefeated, 12-0 now. DeJordan Santos goes down to 11-3. Susukairev now 3-0 in the UFC with 2 submission wins and a TKO, and all of these are coming in a second round and then 2 third round wins. So Susukairev, you know, the fights last a while, but he winds up, you know, coming out with a finish in all of his fights in UFC so far. So looking good for him. We'll see what's up next for him and what kind of an opponent he gets next. Next up, we had Pat Sabatini versus William Gomes. This was a pretty fun fight. I mean, they both showed, you know, some grit and determination to get the win, but Pat Sabatini came out with the win here. You know, he kind of fought, you know, a wrestling style, strong positional control, and put up a lot of pressure against Gomes. You know, Gomes found his range after a little while with the striking, but Sabatini wasn't able to, you know, didn't allow him to settle and really get a rhythm to put together some of that striking and land big on Sabatini. So, you know, when the fight hit the mat, Sabatini was able to control, you know, along good stretches of the fight, and you know, was winning rounds with it until the fight ended, and he winds up getting that unanimous decision win over William Gomes, and that puts Sabatini at this website is really struggling. Puts him at 2-0 in the 2-0 in his latest stint in the UFC. He's 9-2 overall. Wait a minute. That's a 3-fight win streak. What am I talking about? Hold on. Those were grappling matches. That's what always gets in the way. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 fight win streak for Pat Sabatini. So pretty good win streak going on for him there. Gets a decision in all of those 4 fights. Oh no, the first fight was a submission over Jonathan Pierce. So, but his past 3 fights have been all by decision. Either way, he's getting the wins, and you know, he's keeping the win streak going. So William Gomez drops this one, and he was coming off a win over Robert Uchala. It seems to be he's on this win-loss streak right now. So we'll see if he can bounce back in his next fight. And that takes us over to Roman Kopylov versus Marco Tulio. And I thought for sure Tulio was going to be able to come back and get a win in this one, but Kopylov was just kept it going and stuck in there and really, you know, gritted out that win. I think he dropped him in like the second round, if I remember correctly. And you know, Kopylov was just working that kickboxing, and he was just looking sharp with it. So when he started attacking, you know, the midsection of Tulio, he started really breaking him down. And you know, Tulio had a few moments there where he was able to fire back with some good aggressive shots and stuff, but Kopylov just wasn't allowing him to really take over, and winds up getting a big finish. I mean, a big win over Marco Tulio. Do you think Tulio has been a disappointment? He hasn't really stood out to me for the most part, but I mean, he's 14-3 overall, but he's 2-2 in the UFC. This marks his second loss in a row. He lost to Christian Leroy Duncan by TKO. That's a tough opponent. CLD's pretty big dude too. So I mean, he started off his UFC career with 2 TKO wins in the first and second rounds, and then, you know, he's dropped 2 in a row now. So I wouldn't say he's a disappointment. I just say, you know, he's got some work to do, and if he bounces back and he can start fighting like he did in those first couple fights, and maybe it sucks how him and Norman Dumont are coming off losses now. Yeah, this is 2 in a row for him too. So you know, he got a finish in the Contender Series as well, so he was on a good 3-fight win streak with finishes in all of those fights coming into the UFC. And with his first couple of fights in the UFC, but now he's on a 2-fight losing streak. So Kopylov's a tough guy, and you know, I can understand, you know, that being a tough fight for him. And he showed some promise in the middle there, so I think he's just got some stuff to work on, that defense and whatnot. And I think he can bounce back and see what he's, you know, we'll see what he's got from that point on. Next up, we have fucking Jim Miller, man. Jim Miller doing it for the old guys. He gets a performance of the night bonus with a guillotine choke submission in the first round over Jared Gordon. What a fucking fighter Jim Miller is, man. I can't believe it. 42 years old, a fucking ton of fights under his belt. You know, he was coming off a loss to Chase Hooper by decision, and he turns it around and gets a big win over Jared Gordon in the first round, and gets a bonus out of it, which is, you know, just fun to see with Jim Miller, man. It's hard to, you know, it's hard to not like the guy. You know, he's such an older dude. He's such a humble guy, but you know, he's a killer in that cage, and he has some rough times sometimes, but you know, he came out looking aggressive in this one, ready to push a good pace up against Jared Gordon. And you know, Gordon was, you know, came out looking the same way, ready to go, but Jim Miller just didn't give him time to get anything off, really. Winds up getting him in the first round with a submission, doing what Jim Miller does. It was a vintage Jim Miller performance. He was efficient and dangerous, and found opportunities and took advantage of them. So, you know, he's just working his way to be able to fight in UFC 400 like he said he would. But yeah, it's like, you know, people saying he wouldn't be a Hall of Famer. It's crazy, man. It's just, I know he hasn't been a champion, but the way that he's been fighting, and as long as he's been fighting and still winning at 42 in dominant fashion, is just crazy, man. It's hard to it's hard to say he doesn't deserve a lot. So, and he's such a good dude too. So, Jim Miller, Cal Ripken Jr. Hall of Fame, Maine.
What's happening with you, man?
If Cowboy made it, he should. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I just, DC was talking about how he's not a Hall of Famer and all that shit. So anyway, moving on. Grant Dawson versus Mateusz Rebecki. Rebecki always bleeds. Always bleeds. Remember back in the day, could Bobby make it? As in King Green? I don't think so, man. I don't think so. If that's who you're talking about, I just don't see that being it, really. Audio sounding good, by the way, since I'm at home and here in the studio. Oh, okay. Right on. Thanks, Infinity. But yeah, Rebecki always bleeding. He puts on the pressure and he gets physical quick. But he makes his opponents work hard to get a win. But he absorbs a lot of damage. But he stays in there, stays composed. He's durable, and he leans into whatever's thrown at him and tries to overcome it. But Dawson just he stayed composed in there, and with the chaos that Rebecki brings all the time, he picked him apart a bit and was able to gain the grappling advantage over him as the fight went deeper into the rounds. And then eventually he pushed the pace and started just kind of overwhelming Rebecki, taking over and putting the damage on Rebecki. And then in the third round he was able to find that submission. I'm sorry, I thought this page was glitching out on me again. But yeah, in the third round he's able to find that submission 4 minutes and 42 seconds into the third round. So it went real late and deep into the round, but Grant Dawson comes out with the win by submission after losing to Manuel Torres in the first round of his last fight. So Rebecki, he's one of those guys. He's a fun fighter to watch. He's always getting into wars, but now he's 4-4 in the UFC. He's on a 3-fight losing streak. Chris Duncan by decision, Ludovic Klein by decision, and now Grant Dawson by submission. But since that Mick Orlby fight where he got the win by decision in that war, and he got fight of the night bonus there, he got a fight of the night bonus against Chris Duncan and a fight of the night bonus against Ludovic Klein. So this is his first fight since 2024 that he's fought in win or lose and not gotten a fight of the night bonus. So he just puts on a show, man. And it's just if you like the violence, you're definitely going to get it in a Rebecki fight. So, but congrats to Grant Dawson for getting that win. He gets a submission in the third round. Next up is Yaroslav Amosov versus Joel Alvarez. And Amosov coming in looking good. He was 1-0 coming into this one with a submission win over Neil Magny in the first round, and looking to get the fight done quickly again as Alvarez was trying to overwhelm him with the size, with the just throwing a lot of offense at him. But Amosov just kind of flipped the script on him and was able to control with the wrestling, and he kept Alvarez from getting the momentum in the striking, and consistently forced the grappling to where he got him to the ground, and by the second round he took over completely and eventually got that arm triangle choke in and submitted Joel Alvarez in the second round, 1 minute and 13 seconds in, and he winds up getting a performance of the night bonus with that. So Joel Alvarez was on a decent win streak, 4 fight win streak, and that was 1 submission, 2 TKOs, and a decision, with his last fight being against Vicente Luque. He had 1 performance of the night bonus in there too, and now he makes his way into the loss column with the loss over to Amosov by arm triangle choke. And that leads us into the last fight on the prelims. Amosov was 2 wins away from 29-0 before the Jackson fight. Would have been crazy to see third. Oh yeah, it would. That's nuts. But yeah, that leads us into another dominant fighter, Atiba Gauthier. 11-1 overall, but man, in the UFC, he's done well. 5-0 for him now in the UFC. This marks 5 fights in a row for him. And, you know, he was on a first round finish kind of streak for a little while there, but his first 2 fights in the UFC got him performance of the night bonuses with TKO wins in the first round in both of those. He gets another first round finish over Tristan Vines, and then a unanimous decision win in his last fight against Andre Puliev. This time he gets a second round finish with the overhand right connecting in that bottom picture, and then he finished him on the ground with hammer fist against Ozzy Diaz. So, you know, not a whole lot to talk about there except for Atiba Gauthier just looking like a damn animal in there. I mean, Diaz was able to survive that first round because, you know, Gauthier comes out, he just starts fast, man, and he starts throwing everything at you right away. And, you know, he presses backwards with a lot of pressure and explosiveness. And Diaz, you know, tried to fire back and tried to make it a messy fight. But Gauthier's power was just too much for him. And in the second round, he gets knocked out. So Gauthier just continuing on that win streak. And you know, it was a fun fight leading into the main card. So we had a decent, you know, a decent time with 3 submissions, a KO, and then leading into the main card, and then we got the submission right away from King Green. But then we went on a couple decisions before the two championship bouts. But you know, the decisions weren't, it's not like they were super boring or anything like that. So is it a stretch to say that he'll fight for a title one day? I think fans are putting a lot of pressure on him. Yeah, that's what happens when somebody starts off as, you know, exciting and you know, as exciting and dominant as Gauthier has been. So, I mean, sure, he could fight for a title, but it's just like, that's what we, you know, it's the thing with everybody that starts off like that. It's just, once he's got to get the higher level of competition, you know, and opposition before we really know much about him. Because sometimes when you face those higher level guys, things change a little bit. So I think once Atiba faces a grappler, we'll see the extent of his gas tank. His sole loss, even though it was a robbery, showed the consistent grappling waters down his cardio and offense bad. There you go. And that's the thing too. Yeah, I mean, finding somebody who's an elite grappler and wrestler, is that going to really stifle that striking and power of his? That's a good point, Junior. So that's what we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, for now, Atiba Gauthier is still on a good win streak, getting good finishes and being impressive. So hell of a way to finish off those prelims. Let's take a look at the Fight Wheel predictions compared to my predictions. Me and the Fight Wheel both, really Atiba should also be 11-0. Yeah, I get that. Me and the Fight Wheel both predicted Chimaev to win that main event, and that was incorrect. We both picked Joshua Van in the co-main. I picked Acosta. The Fight Wheel predicted Volkov, so that makes me 1-2, and the Fight Wheel 2-1. Brady versus Buckley. I picked Brady. The wheel picked Buckley, so that puts me at 2-2. And then we both picked Green, so we both wound up 3-2. So the Fight Wheel predicted the same amount of wins and losses as I did. It's just different fights. So, you know, I just assumed Chimaev would get the win. That's why, you know, I thought Strickland was going to make it a tougher fight. Not just, you know, not get the win, but make it a tougher fight, and instead he got the win. So, and as far as Acosta goes, like I said, some people thought he did win that fight. So, you know, I'm not too sad about it. It is what it is, and 3-2 is not too bad. Still somewhat of a winning record, but it didn't do shit for my parlay because parlay got busted. But yeah, that's it. That about does it for me. Strickland thought he was too. Yeah, that does it for me, man. I appreciate all you guys being in here, jumping back in and interacting with me. And yeah, make sure you come back for the preview of the fights coming up next weekend. Who do we got for UFC? Arnold Allen versus Malquazel Costa. That could be a fun fight for sure. Duho Choi versus Daniel Santos. Malcolm Wellmaker versus Juan Diaz. We'll see if Wellmaker can bounce back and look as good as he did in the beginning. Modestas Bukauskas versus Rodolfo Bellato. And Timothy Kuumba versus Bernardo Sopage. Let's look at the prelims. Not a ton going on down there. We have a women's fight in there. Couple women's fights. Alice Ardenline versus Polyana Viana. Ooh, okay. Yeah, some decent fights on that one. Doesn't seem like a horrible card. But also we have that MVP card next week. So, are you ready for work next week? Like mentally ready? I know you get tired. Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm out of town. I'm out of town next week, but I'm not sure if I'll be back here or if I wind up getting into some trouble with work stuff as far as getting overwhelmed. I might do the show on Wednesday from there. So I'm taking everything with me so I can at least do the prep and whatever. But for the most part, I think that, you know, I'll probably be back here ready to do the show with the prelim or with the previews of everything coming up next week. So we'll see what happens, but we'll get the show this week regardless. So preview for MVP card, preview for the next UFC card, anything else going on around combat sports and everything else in MMA. So that's it for me. I'm out of here. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for all the support. Make sure you hit that like button before you get out of here. If you're watching this later, you know, get that like button in there still. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hey, I appreciate you, Auntie Dell. Thank you. Yeah, and that's it for me. I'm out of here. Take it easy. Peace.